Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. So in case you guys haven't seen the announcement today from CG, they are making some upcoming changes to the Sith Raid. They announced this a week or two ago. They said that they're going to be making some changes to it, and they finally revealed what they're planning on doing. So we'll go through what they're talking about changing. I'll talk about what I think about it. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it, so feel free to comment down below. So let's go ahead and get into this post. It was made today by CG SB Crumb. So 2 weeks ago, mentioned what they're getting ready to reveal some changes to the Sith Raid. They've been listening to the players on the forums, which means they've finally been listening to their feedback section, which is great. Reddit, the beta program, and other channels. So fantastic. Everybody's getting out there and talking to them. So they're giving us some broad strokes of what's going on here, what they're going to be changing. One of the big things that they've been hearing about from pretty much everybody is that the Sith Raid is extremely difficult and it's not very rewarding, especially in the lower tiers. I can confirm this. It is not fun for a lot of people. They have lost a severe amount of interest in the Sith Raid over time because it's just so difficult. The rewards aren't there. They just have no motivation to do it. And then they see that Heroic is getting these Gear 12 plus pieces, and it's really started to annoy a lot of people. So they're going to be making some changes here with it. So many of the guilds who have been doing Heroics have been getting these rewards. They're not going to be doing a lot of changes to Heroic on that end. They're going to be doing mostly changes to tiers 1 through 6. So the two areas they've heard that are the worst are A, the randomness of the mechanics. Phase 1 with Nihilus, how he can annihilate out of nowhere, really cause these frustration and just force you to retry. And B, the balance of effort versus rewards. Already talked about that. They're going to be increasing the rewards. So they're going to be making it easier for people to progress to Heroic. So let's start with the randomness. The random nature of phases 1 and 3 can be very difficult, very frustrating. Like I mentioned with Darth Nihilus, he can annihilate at any point in time, even if he didn't start the turn with Annihilate off cooldown. That can be a problem, especially in Heroic, where he can take 3 turns at once, and it's only a 50-50% chance. He's not guaranteed. It's a flip of the coin to see if he takes that 3rd turn. That could really screw things up, especially with Unbreakable Will. And then in Phase 3, Treya's lightsabers, there are some issues there. So with Phase 1, Nihilus's kit will be adjusted to be more predictable. Hopefully this means that he is not going to be able to annihilate in a turn if he did not start with it on cooldown or off, or while it still had a cooldown attached to it. So hopefully this means that he cannot do 2 dispels and then annihilate with a follow-up, because that's been the big problem. So hopefully they're going to change that so that he can't annihilate unless he already has it off cooldown at the beginning of his turn. We'll see, fingers crossed. And that's for all 7 tiers, tiers 1 through 7, so Heroic and Normal are going to get this change. And then in tiers 1 through 6, so not Heroic in Phase 3, they're going to be changing the randomness of lightsabers there. They will reduce the feeling that you need to reset a run to get a decent score. So hopefully this means that they're going to change how the buffs and the debuffs work. Right now, lightsabers can get 3 buffs: Advantage, Foresight, and Retribution. That causes them to do different debuffs. It creates some issues. So hopefully they're going to be fixing that. Maybe they're going to be limiting the number of buffs that lightsabers can have, or they can only have the same buff on or all 3 can only have the same buff at once. So we'll see. We don't know exactly the details of that yet. So rewards in time, this has been the big issue that a lot of people have been talking about. The raid just doesn't feel that rewarding. So they're going to be changing how this works. They're going to be making it faster to complete, and they're going to be increasing the rewards at the same time. So tiers 1 through 6, going to be reducing the health of Nihilus, Scion, and Treya in all 4 phases. This is pretty much what they did with the normal AAT raid back in the day. You guys may remember when the AAT raid first came out. Tier 6, that tank had 150 million health. In Phase 2 was some absurd number. So they're doing the same thing as they did here. They're just going to be reducing the health. It took a little bit longer to do this, but they're finally getting around to it. Tiers 6 and 7, they are adding mod salvage. So with mods 2.0, we're going to be getting mod salvage. Don't know too much about it yet, but tier 6 and Heroic will be getting that mod salvage, which is great. And then they snuck in a little change here for the AAT raid. They're moving challenge gear from the AAT. I originally thought they'd already done that. Turns out it just was for the Rancor back in the day, supposedly. So they're getting rid of that challenge gear in the AAT. finally, better late than never, I guess. I was hoping that they'd already done that. Apparently they have not. So they're finally getting around to that. So thank you, CG, for finally doing that. That's been frustrating for a lot of people. But yeah, it's just a random AAT change they just threw in here for interesting reasons. I mean, I guess no better place to talk about it. But finally, beyond tiers 1 through 6, to be clear, most of these changes are not impacting Heroic. The only change here that's really happening is the mod salvage for rewards and the randomness reduction in Darth Nihilus for phases 1 and 4. Trey is still going to be difficult in phase 3, which I don't like because her Isolate is still a broken raid mechanic. It was one I don't think should have ever really been thrown into the live version. It's a pain to get around. It's not good to fight against. It really just makes things very difficult for you. So they're not going to be really changing much with phase 3 and Heroic, which sucks, but it is what it is. We'll still have to rely on our Chex Mix, Greedo Mix, and Bounty Hunters for phase 3, which we'll get to that eventually. But one other thing that they didn't address here that I really hope they had was they are not going to be changing the mechanic or the rewards too much for Heroic. They're giving the mod salvage, but the problem right now with Heroic is only the top 10 can get those fully crafted Gear 12 Plus pieces. Now, I know that's supposed to make the top 10 really rewarding. At the same time, that cuts off a lot of people outside the top 10. I think they should move it to the top 25 to get a chance to have the Gear 12 Plus and just make it much higher for the top 10. But as is right now, if you're in a super competitive guild where the top 10 has to be like 20 million plus damage, you scoff at that, but trust me, there are guilds out there where you have to get that much to get in the top 10 or even have a chance to get in the top 10. And that's not fun. That means you have to do a lot of runs, you have to be perfect in your execution. It's a lot of time you have to sink into them. If you don't get top 10 and you don't get that chance of Gear 12 Plus, that sucks. I've seen people leave these competitive guilds and go to other places because they just can't compete and they're not having fun. It's breaking up a lot of your higher end guilds with those rewards. Definitely something CG should look at, in my opinion. Hopefully they do expand that out. Maybe when we get Gear 12 Plus into shipments, which I think, considering they're selling them now in those packs, maybe seeing those in shipments a little bit sooner than I like to think. But we could be seeing an expansion out to like the top 25 to get Gear 12 Plus. Fingers crossed on that. So, you know, they say here, one very important sense here, they want to get these changes out as soon as possible, but we need to take our time testing internally and find the right combination of changes to alleviate some of the difficulty at lower tiers. I love this sentence. I absolutely love that they're doing this. If I could write a sentence, if I could write this sentence a love poem, I would, but that would be weird, so I'm not going to do it. But this means that they're actually taking their time. It means that they saw how badly the Night Sisters and the Bonds of Weakness change was handled from the Critolite issue. Hopefully that means they've learned from that. Fingers crossed, but I could see that they're making progress and learning from that, and they're going to take that to heart, and hopefully they're going to consider that in the future when they're making these changes, that they need to take time to figure these things out, and I'm glad that that's what they're doing here. You know, I'd rather they get it out a little bit late and be correct than have it come out at a decent time window and just completely break things. So I'm glad that they're taking their time and trying to get things right. I really appreciate that they're doing that. That's a much welcome change after the issues with Night Sisters and the Bonds of Weakness concerning Critolite. So thank you, CG, for taking your time with that. You know, they will release some of the pain points that diminish your excitement and enthusiasm to participate in the Sith Triumvirate Raid. I can tell you, excitement with the Triumvirate Raid dropped off a cliff after the first month and a half, because people started to realize it was very difficult. The rewards weren't that exceptional. It was just not worth it. So hopefully this is going to bring people back. I could notice in my videos for the Sith Raid that once people started losing their interest, the videos for the Sith Raid started getting a lot less interest as well. There's still some videos that have a lot of interest in them, showing like the top teams to use, but most of the videos covering the Sith Raid don't really get a lot of views. So hopefully this is going to help bring people back, bring up interest in the Sith Raid again, and that's going to be a good change for everybody, because then that's going to motivate CG to make more raids in the future. But anyways, enough for me. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I love to hear what you guys are thinking, because I want to make a video talking about what we've learned from the Sith Raid and what CG can take from our experiences with the Sith Raid and put that into whatever next raid they're working on. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. So comment down below. Feel free to like and share this video, and thanks again for watching.